Welcome to Living Well. We're so happy that you joined us for another segment to learn how to live well, not only now, but for eternity. And so today we're going to talk about learning to live. And many times we think about we're living, but are we really living that best life that God wants us to live? So my name is Dr. Jennifer Sankey Battles, and I'm going to be your host today. And we're actually going to have some interactive conversation about how we want to begin to live our best life, and more importantly, living the more abundant life that Jesus talks about in John 10:10. So I do need to do a disclaimer that all of our presentations are for educational purposes only. Even though you'll hear me say I'm Dr. Jennifer Sankey Battles, I'm not a medical physician. I do not assess, diagnose, or treat any conditions whatsoever. If there's something that you hear that you want to do different, I would say please consult your medical provider and let them guide you through that process of living a more abundant life. But before we start today, and I'm just going to be talking to you, so there won't be any slides, but I do encourage you to write in the chat box. So when you hear about learning to live or learn to live, this is a question for everyone, are you living your best life? Are you living your best life? If you said yes, I want you to put in the chat, what are you doing to live your best life? So that you can share with others what you are doing to live your best life. So think about it. Am I doing all the things that I believe that God has intended me to do? Am I happy? Am I content? Or are there a few more things in life that I really, really would like to do better, or do more of, or do less of? Think about it. So what we're doing right now is we're assessing our lives. And before you can change anything in your life, you have to know where you are, correct? So that's what we're doing right now. We're doing an assessment of where we are. And then as we go through this conversation today, we're going to talk about where you would like to be. And the next part of that is, how do you get there? So let's see if we have anyone telling us in the chat what they're doing to live their best life. Let me peek at it and see. Ellen, I'm going to need your help to be eyes and ears for me today. Particularly eyes in the chat as we talk about this conversation, because I do want it to be interactive. Are you living your best life? If so, what are you doing? And if you're not living your best life, what do you want to do to begin your best life? So I had a conversation with a friend of mine earlier this week, hadn't spoken to her in quite some time. And I said to her, we were talking, and she was talking about all the many, many projects that she had going on at home. She said, I just got my roof replaced on the house. I'm going to have my pool resurfaced. And she began to give me all the list of things that she was doing on her house. And then I stopped her and I said, but what are you doing for you? What are you doing for you? And she says, when I finish doing all those things, then I will do something for me. Then I will go on vacation. So there's a saying, don't put off today. Don't put off for tomorrow what you can do today. You've heard that saying, right? So what is it in your life that you are putting off for your health, for your well-being, for your mental, for your social, for your physical health, that you're putting off today, putting off for tomorrow what you can do today? So someone in the chat says, health is wealth. I love it. I try to take care of my body by exercising, eating a balanced diet, and trusting in God. So health truly is wealth. Has anyone been to the doctor lately or been in the hospital? Those bills can really go up really quickly. Before you know it, you spent a lot of money on it. So my hope and prayer is by the end of this conversation, when we ask the question, are you living your best life? That you can say, maybe not yet, or yes, I am, or I know how to live my best life. So many times when people say, how are you doing? People will say, I'm blessed and I'm highly favored. And granted, God every day gives us that opportunity to live our very best life. So now that we've done that assessment, let's talk about how do we take action to live our best life. So about a week ago, I had an opportunity to go to the Wildwood Lifestyle Center in Tennessee. And when I went there, my main purpose for going was to learn more about some of the natural remedies that they do for health and well-being. Any other time in my life when I've heard about Wildwood is usually someone has some type of medical condition and they want to go learn how to maybe reset their body. So the one I went to was called Life Alignment. That was the name of the 7-day program I went to. I went to a Life Alignment. And Life Alignment is basically say, let's do an assessment of you, see where you are, and let's see if there's anything you need to do different. So when I went with the intent to basically learn what they do. When I got there, they began to, and these are things that I want you to write down as things that you can do also that can help you say, where am I and how do I align my life so I can live my best life? So the word today are assessment, take action, meaning do something about it. The other one is align your life, and then live the more abundant life. So we want to get to the abundant life. Those are the 4 things we're talking about today. So we always want to be honest with ourselves when we say our assessment, but when we want to begin to take action, I think that's the most difficult part, is taking action to really improve our life. Some of us are not as healthy as we want to be. Some of us are not as happy as we want to be. And some of us have some spiritual conditions that we are just struggling with. And so what we want to do is the more we talk about where we are, we can say where we want to be. So if I say on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you with your health, your happiness, and your holiness? 1 being not really where I want to be, but 10 absolutely where I want to be. Begin to assess yourself. So I took action. I went to the Lifestyle Center in Wildwood. When I got there, they did lab work. They did my blood pressure. And then what I found out is that my blood pressure was elevated. So I began to attribute this elevated blood pressure to all the busy schedules I've had at work, at home, in my social life, just going on a very busy schedule. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel lightheaded. I didn't feel dizzy. But as we all know, that hypertension is one of those conditions that many times you don't have signs until you maybe end up with heart disease or a stroke or something more. So thank God I went there to learn about remedies and things of how I can be a better educator, a better teacher in my job at Southeastern Conference. So when I got there, one of the things we've talked about assessment and taking action. They said, okay, what goals do you want to do different? What do you want to do different? What goals do you have for your own health? So I'm going to pause for a minute and ask you, what goals have you laid out for yourself? What are your health goals? Remember the story of my friend? She wants a new roof, she wants to resurface her pool, all of that. But when they asked me my health goals, the honest truth, I had not even thought about health goals, because what I was thinking is I was eating properly and I was getting my sleep. But remember, there's 8 laws of health that God needs to abide by in order to prevent diseases, preserve our health, and prolong our lives. If we do one, but we don't do the other 7, is that good enough? If we do 2 or 3 or 4, but not the other 3, is that good enough, or other 4? So what I found is when they asked me about health goals, I had to really begin to pause and think about, what am I doing and what am I not doing? So on this program, we've gone over the 8 health laws. You've heard them over and over again, but I'm going to go through them right now because I want us to pause and think. We want to take action. What is it that is preventing us from living our best life, our more abundant life? So nutrition. While I was there, they talked very clearly about what we should eat on our plates, the fruits, the vegetables. And we've seen the food pyramid before, we've seen the plate before, but you have to really be intentional about getting your fruits and your vegetables in, really. And what they told us in the morning, and they stressed in the morning, is making sure that half of your plate is with your if you do fruits in the morning, make it fruits. If it's vegetables, make it vegetables. But half of the plate needs to be that of just raw food, not cooked, not anything. And so the first day they talked us through that. And then the other part of it needs to be your protein and your grains and your nuts. So after we did that for 7 days, our minds became conditioned that in the morning, you want to make sure that you're eating early in the morning and not skipping breakfast. So if you're skipping breakfast, I'm going to encourage you to begin to eat breakfast and schedule the time that you're going to eat breakfast and aim to eat breakfast at that same time every single day. So for your nutrition, for your digestive system, all of that is so important. So this may be very familiar to you, but the question is applying the knowledge that we have. So now in the morning, I'm very intentional because remember on the food pyramid, it said eat 3 or 4 vegetables or 3 or 4 fruits. And it's like, how do I get that all in? Easy. You start in the morning with putting it on your plate in the beginning. And that way you're not trying to figure out, have I eaten enough? When you do lunch, you put all your vegetables on your plate, so you don't have to worry about that. So again, with nutrition, I was good with nutrition because I thought, I'm a vegan, I don't eat the dairy, I'm good. But what I found out when we got to the E in New Start, the exercise, I realized I wasn't moving enough. Now, my dear friend Emma has been telling me for several months that she tries to get 10,000 steps in a day. And I'm like, 10,000 steps? That seems like a lot. Well, really, if you get 10,000 steps in, it is good for every single organ in your body. Oxygen goes to the brain, blood circulates better in the body. And fortunately, in this lifestyle center, they have trails and sidewalks and places to walk. And one day I got up to 14,000 steps and I was so excited. But the encouragement was to try to walk after every single meal, a digestive walk for 15 minutes, for 30 minutes. And many times I would walk for about 45 minutes up to even an hour because I'm in an environment that's controlled. There's no stressors. The phone's not requiring me to answer it. I don't have any emails I need to check. So really, I'm now training my mind that this is doable when I get home. So one of my goals was exercise, and I want you to think about how much you're exercising. Are you exercising enough to get the oxygen to your brain and the blood circulating through your heart, so in your extremities, so that you're not at risk for blood clots, or they say if you don't get enough oxygen to your brain, dementia and Alzheimer's. Are you moving enough? So that was CE and New Start, and then the water. So that was my other goal. I knew I wasn't drinking enough water. So, my kidneys were screaming for water. That's why my blood pressure is high. My kidneys are not well hydrated. My blood is thick. And so water and exercise were my two goals. They didn't want me to make any more than that because sometimes we make too many goals and we do not achieve any of them. So water. They gave me a water bottle, and I think I left it in the car because I was so busy running in, but I walked with my water bottle. My goal was just to drink 8 cups a day. 8 cups a day. I didn't try to say my body weight and half of that. I just said 8 cups because if my blood pressure is high, I need all the water I can get to try to get my blood pressure regulated. So the question I have to you, how much water are you drinking per day? How much water are you drinking a day? Are you drinking enough to make sure that every organ benefits from it? Are you drinking a teaspoon? Are you drinking 1 cup? If I were to ask you when you take a shower, how much water you drink, how much are you using? Many of us will stay in the shower for 5-10 minutes and let that water run on us, on our outside of our body, but the inside of the body needs the water as well. So think about it. How much water are you drinking? And do you need to make a health goal for drinking more water? Maybe not. Maybe you do fine with that. But again, and think about that. So then sunshine. We were very fortunate. The sun was shining. We had nice weather while we were there. And so many of us are not getting enough sunshine. So our vitamin D levels are low. And being dark complexion as I am, my vitamin D level was low when they did the lab work. And so many times people say, oh, I'll just take a supplement. But what we can do is walk when the sun is shining. What we can do is make sure that we get that natural vitamin D that God has put in the sunshine for us to enjoy. So when we walked those 3 days, most often when we walked after breakfast and after lunch, the sun was shining. And so we were able to benefit from that sunshine. So if you don't like the sunshine, but how will you get your vitamin D if you don't get in the sunshine? So it's really important, really, really important for you to get that sunshine. Many times we say we don't want to be in the sun, it's too hot, but make sure you dress appropriately so that you can actually enjoy the sunshine. So when we talk about New Start, the T in that New Start 8 principles of health is trust in God. Or let's do that one. Let's do temperance. Temperance. So we've heard too much of a good thing is what? It can be bad. So we don't want to overdo anything. We don't want to overeat. We don't want to over exercise. We don't want to drink so much water that we put ourselves at risk for any health problems. But we want to be temperate in all things. And what I would encourage you to do is make sure you know what you're eating and why you're eating it. Whatever they gave us at the Lifestyle Center, oftentimes they would say, and this is good for, this, and this is good for that. And there were 4 things that they told us that we needed to do every day. One was do turmeric, flaxseed, chia seeds, and ginger. And they would encourage us to, for each meal, to choose 2 of the 4 things. So that was the ginger, flaxseed, chia, and turmeric. And all of those things that I just mentioned are good anti-inflammatories for the body. And we know that inflammation is one of the #1 reasons for any disease, all diseases, cancers, hypertension, diabetes. The body inside is inflamed. And so we can't see it, can't feel it, but we can treat it and we can prevent it by doing the ginger, the turmeric, the chia, or we can reduce it, and also the flaxseed. So be temperate in all things. They didn't want us to do a lot of it. I think it was just a small little teaspoon, not even really a teaspoon of that. But then the A in New Start is air. Many of us are not breathing enough. And I'm going to do a breathing exercise with you right now. If oxygen is not getting in the body and it's not really getting in there well, we're not going to function at our best. Our body needs air. And the best air is first thing in the morning. And if you're ever having problems sleeping, begin to do deep breathing. It works. I used to do that often when I was having problems sleeping. I would just breathe in through my nose and out, and I would be off to sleep within probably, I'm sure, minutes, because they would just relax me so much. But are you breathing deep enough? Are you sitting up? Are you slouched? Many of us sit at jobs. We're sitting for long periods of time. We sit at home watching TV. We sit, but we're not breathing. We're not giving that diaphragm an opportunity to breathe in and breathe out in such a way that we are getting the oxygen to the body. So take a moment right now and just breathe in and pay attention to your breaths as you breathe in through your nose slowly and out through your lips. And you can just purse your lips a little bit, but let's take a few good cleansing breaths and let's do 10 of them. We have time. So let's go in through your nose, out through your mouth. That's #1. In through your nose, out through your mouth, just a little pursing of your lips. We're on #2, in through your nose, out through your mouth. We're on #3, in through your nose, out through your mouth. #4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Wow. Do you feel more relaxed? Many times we're just constantly running and ripping and we're not breathing. We're holding our breath. But when you want to really make sure you have good quality of health of your mind, your body, and your spirit, you must breathe. You must breathe. There's a verse in the Bible that says, let everything that has breath praise the Lord. So when you're praising the Lord, you are breathing. In fact, even when you're singing, That's one way to get more oxygen and air into your body, but begin to breathe. So the R in New Start is rest. It sounds so common. It's like, oh, yes, I go to bed. But the question is, what time are you going to bed? And are you getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night? That's really the question. Are you resting well when you go to bed? So the other night I went to bed at 9 o'clock. That was the best sleep that I've had in a long time. And let me tell you, when I woke up the next morning, guess what? My blood pressure was lower, much lower than it has been. So rest does really matter. And the reason we're talking about this way of learning how to live is we do not want to put off for tomorrow what we need to do today. And what I'm super excited about is when I went to that lifestyle center, I literally was supposed to go in the month of March, but I put it off till April because I had such a busy schedule. But I'm thankful that I didn't put it off any longer because it allowed me to reset my mindset about how important my health was to me. And we know that God has plans for us to prosper. But the most important thing is He wants us to be in good health. He really does. And while I was there, it helped me just to relax and remember I am made in the image of God. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am a child of God, and He wants me to be in the best health possible. And so when we think about our health, rest is so very important. If you're not resting at night, ask yourself why. Are you staying on the computer too long? Is the day running through your mind? Are you not getting your mind clear? One way to clear your mind before you go to bed, pray and ask God to take away everything that you're thinking about or worried about and go to sleep because God will be up all night. But rest 7 to 8 hours a night. Don't take the computer, the phone, all those things to your room. When you go to bed, it is time to sleep. Now, I take my phone in there because I use an alarm to get up, but I have found that I really don't need that alarm because I'm waking up before the alarm goes off because my body is regulated to get up. So taking action with your own health, and don't wait until you get hypertension or diabetes or prediabetes or cancers to begin to rest the body. Very important. And then the last one in New Start is T, our trust in God. Many people are worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, and we don't even know what tomorrow is going to bring. The Bible says, do not worry about tomorrow. Let it take care of itself because we know that there's nothing we can do about tomorrow. Our trust in God has a lot to do with our health. Many people are stressed about things that they cannot control. And all we can say is that trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him. He will direct your path. Many times we're planning for tomorrow for things that do not pertain to our health. They pertain to a vacation, they pertain to getting a car fixed, or buying a car, or buying a house. But our temple, our body temple, is so much more important than a car or a house or a job. And what I have found, many people say, I don't have time to sleep. I don't have time to walk. I don't have time to drink water because the things that are crowding it out are things that really oftentimes I say really don't matter. They don't matter for eternity, truthfully. I mean, yes, we need to work to, pay bills, but really our health is our wealth, as Emlyn said. And so I want you to put in the chat box, of the 8 health laws that I have talked about, what's the one goal that you will set for yourself? N was nutrition, E was exercise, W was water, 7 to 8 cups a day. S was sunshine, get out in the sunshine. T was being temperate. A was actually breathing more, getting that air into your lungs, into your whole body. R was for rest, and T was temperance. What's the one thing you know that you could do more of to make sure that you can live that more abundant life? In John 10:10, the verse says, the thief, we're talking about the devil, Satan, comes to steal, kill, and destroy our health. But Jesus says, I've come that you may have life and that you will have it more abundantly. The devil's serious about trying to destroy our health. He's serious. He makes us so busy that we're not mindful of our health. He makes us so busy that when we begin to pay attention to our health is when we have actually symptoms. And I want to urge all of us that we do not want to wait until we have symptoms before we make a lifestyle change. Because many times damage has been to the brain or to the heart or to the lungs or to the kidneys. And so we want to be proactive and not reactive and make sure that we do what we can, take action for our health. So the other thing I learned at the Lifestyle Center is you must have a schedule. You have to schedule when you eat. You have to schedule when you rest. You have to schedule when you do your devotion with God. Because if you don't put it on the schedule, oftentimes it does not happen. And so I was very fortunate while I was there that every day I was there, they would do hydro treatment. So I would go in the sauna one day, I'd go in the whirlpool one day. One day they did a massage, and then they had the hot and cold showers every day. But it was at the same time every day that we would go through that routine. And so schedule your health. Put it on the schedule like you go to work. Put it on the schedule when you're going to walk. Make sure that you are putting it on a schedule so that, and you may get off schedule just a little bit, but don't not do it because you have missed the beat. So for instance, I usually walk after I eat. It's very important that you walk and do just 15 minutes, short walks, just allow your digestive system to really digest. But you want to do it consistently so that your body gets accustomed to being on a schedule, going to sleep at the same time, eating around the same time. All of those are important for your health and your well-being. Just as we expect our heart to beat on a regular, automatically, or us breathing automatically, or when we have the earth, all of that, we want to make sure that our body is in sync. But we have to hold ourselves accountable, because when we don't, many times we're way off. My body, I went to the life alignment for 7 days. And remember, my main reason for going was how can I do my job better and educate people better on the health laws or on natural remedies? But only to find out the need was for me to pause my life, for me to begin to reset what I was doing and incorporate more water, incorporate more walking into my schedule. Remember, I said if I do 5 of the 8 and I'm not doing the other 3, it's still harmful to my health. It's still harmful to my health. So now I'm more mindful of taking my blood pressure. And there we took it 3 times a day. And so taking your blood pressure is important. Many of us have a blood pressure cuff in our home, but how often do we actually take our blood pressure? Sometimes we'll wait till we go to the doctor, but I would encourage you a minimum of once a week. They had us doing it 3 times a day just to kind of, and everybody was doing it, whether you had hypertension or not. They had everyone doing the blood pressure. Every morning we got on the scale. I don't necessarily encourage getting on the scale every morning because sometimes people get very obsessed with, oh, I don't weigh enough or I weigh too much. But make a, regular checking, maybe once a month, you get on the scale, or once a week. But I would say incorporate taking your blood pressure and getting on the scale, because sometimes we may be underweight and we don't realize it, or we may be gaining pounds that we didn't realize, because sometimes we can wear the same clothes with our weight fluctuating. Don't wait till your clothes tell you you gained too much or you're not, your right size. Be mindful of that. So today what we've talked about is know your body, do an assessment. Where are you? Are you really living your best life? Are you really living that more abundant life? Are you really happy all the time? Are you, and sometimes we're not necessarily smiling and grinning, but we should be content with life. We should know that God is in control. Are we really, taking care of our health? I mean, we schedule vacations, we'll do that. We'll make house repairs. We'll even clean our house every week or every day. But our health is more important even than that. So not only do you do the assessment, but take action. I cannot stress that enough. Many times we're waiting until we have symptoms and then we're responding. Take actions. Once you take action, make sure that you're aligning your life with where God wants it to be. I've talked to too many people who are on jobs, they're stressed, they're depressed, they're anxious, They don't like the job, but they're staying on the job and it's affecting their health. All I would say is ask God. I told my niece this the other day. God will always make a way to do the right thing. He always will, no matter what. I've heard too much that people are staying in situations, but ask God to make it possible for you to do the right thing for your health and for your well-being. When we're healthy, we represent God. When we're not healthy and when we don't feel well, we're not able to impart that life into others. We're not able to be effective in our ministry to others. So I have learned, take care of your health now, because we don't want to put off for tomorrow what we can do today. There's a verse in the Bible, there's several verses in the Bible, but the one that I love is, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper in health, even as our soul prospers. That is important, that we prosper in our health and we take care of our health. I'm going to pause now and I'm going to look at some of the things in our chat box. So what I heard people say is we need some more rest, more rest, more rest. So you have to ask yourself, what is the one thing that's preventing me from going to sleep at night? Even if you're not tired, I would say lay down, get in the bed. Your body will appreciate it. Set a bedtime and begin to wind down at least an hour to 30 minutes before that time. Because if you wait right to 9 o'clock or right to 10 o'clock, remember, we'll always think of something else that we need to do. So again, let's see, someone else wrote, my health goal is to lose 40 pounds. I gained them back since my fall last year. I'm starting to be an instructor for diabetes. So yes, let me tell you, your health, our health can change how we live drastically, drastically. When we get an injury or something like that, it can change how we live our life. It restricts us, it limits us, you know. Let's see here. And I want to give a shout out to the CFENA members who are celebrating Nurses Week at Painting with a Twist. Congratulations, nurses, for the work that you do to keep other people well and to keep yourself well. Yes, I'm happier than I ever been. Praise God. I'm more connected to God. Praise God. I've shown love. I've shown love, I guess, to my family. I'm serving my community. I'm navigating through my health challenges. I love my church family. Thank you for sharing that so much. We must be happy. You know, there's a verse in the Bible say, be content in whatever state you are. Now, it doesn't mean that if you're living unhealthy, you be content. It's mainly where God has you to be content. Seeking God's word to help us to be obedient to God's health laws, working and praying towards that goal. Amen. That's wonderful. So we know what we need to do to live healthy. Many times we know, but we don't always do. And I sometimes think that God is so kind and so merciful to us. And these bodies of ours, many times we abuse them, but God gives us an opportunity to reset or to realign our bodies with his health laws. While I was there and we were walking on the various trails, when one of the life coaches found out that my blood pressure was high, she says, I'm going to encourage you to walk in the grass with your shoes off. Just walk in the grass, walk, walk, walk. It works. We walked through the woods because I had heard Emlyn talk about the forest bathing. I heard her talk about that and other people on the platform, but I don't really live around woods. So again, I had not experienced it, but every opportunity that we had, we walked through the woods, through the forest, and had our forest bath. And it was great, you know, because the trees are giving off that oxygen. You're in that environment. We could hear the birds. We could walk by the water. And there was one lady there who gave us some some fish food that she wanted us to go down to the pond and feed the fish. And the pond was probably a good, I don't know, maybe a half a mile away. But that was part of our walking. And when we got there, we got a chance just to stand still and sit on the bench, enjoy the sunshine, and feed the fish. So what are you going to do differently after today? What are you going to do to make sure that you are living that more abundant life that Jesus promised in John 10:10? Remember, the devil's not playing. He really is trying to take our health. He's trying to take our happiness. He's even trying to take our spirituality, Because when the trials and the tribulations come, sometimes people look away from God, but I would encourage you to continue to look to God for strength. God has promised He will not give us more than we can bear. He said that with every temptation, there is a way of escape. So sometimes we're tempted to eat the wrong thing, but honestly, there's an apple, there's an orange, there's something there that we can take and choose instead of eating foods that would be harmful to our health. Any thoughts? Any questions? I would love to hear them.
Dr. Sankey, I tell you, this was so timely. I saw someone wrote in the chat, that your message was very timely, very, very timely. And I'm so glad that you shared your experience that you gained there in at Wildwood. When you told me about walking, barefoot, I went looking up, doing some research to find out why is that helpful, because your blood pressure was a bit elevated, and by just walking, you're able to reduce that blood pressure. Just that simple. And what I found was some of the things, they talk about how beneficial walking barefoot is. And one of the things they talk about is the negative ions,
Yes.
because of free radicals that we have in our bodies. When, the earth has negative ions, so that helps to draw out that positive ion and replace with those negative ions, and that causes reduction in inflammation.
Yes.
So, anything that we know that cause chronic disease, we know that inflammation is one of those things. It helps with sleep,
Yes.
walking barefoot, it helps with sleep. It even helps promote white blood cells. It reduces white blood cells, and it helps promote red blood cells. So help with more oxygenation. So there were so many different things. I think I read about 10 different things walking barefoot does. So that's that simple. And then I start implementing a digestive walk. That digestive walk.
Yes.
Because it is so another beneficial, another benefit for our health, because with a digestive walk, it reduces, blood glucose, because we know blood glucose, we don't want it to be too high, and therefore it's going to cause, diabetes. So by walking after eating, it use up that glucose that you just ingested, and it reduces the blood sugar level, and therefore it doesn't store as fat, because after the body uses up the glucose, when it's not needed anymore, the rest of it is stored as fat, glycogen in the liver and in the muscles. And that's what's happened when we start gaining weight. So my goodness, that was such an eye-opener. Thanks for sharing that with us. Very beneficial.
Thank you. I'm glad you found it beneficial. And even though I know all the health laws, but when you pause long enough in life to begin to experience them, and that's what I say, what you learn today, begin to live it right away. Do not say, I'll do it next week, or don't put off. Literally, if you know, the Bible says, if you know what to do good, doeth it not, it is sin. So they didn't allow us one day to figure out if we wanted to really do that. They allowed us to choose our goals, and they begin to put us on a schedule so that we can follow through with those goals, because you say it out of your mouth, begin to do it. That's very important. Very important. Any other comments? Thank you, Emma,
I got
for
a
that.
question. I need some help with the ginger and turmeric and flaxseed and chia. Okay, I heard you say that. Okay, I've tried. I'm not a that just don't go with me. I don't know why. I'm gonna tell you. I've never liked dealing with a blender. I got one that's in my closet with dust on it. I am not a blender person. I got a Ninja. I bought that to try to make myself. And I'm not that kind of person. So sometimes I go up here to the this natural juice bar and get me something. But I can't tell you how many times I bought ginger and turmeric, but what am I gonna put it in if they say you're supposed to juice. Well, I ain't doing that, because that means putting it in a blender. So you understand me? I'm not that kind of girl. I can't and I've tried to get myself out of it, and I'm a self-starter. That's just not me. But so what can you put ginger on and turmeric, in that other
Yes.
than a juice?
That's a very good question. Thank you for asking that question because they had these little dishes on the table and they had small cups. They were very little cups. They weren't big cups. They were very small. And they had like soy milk, they had almond milk, they had cashew milk, and we would just put a little milk in the little cup and put some of the turmeric, stir it, and put a little ginger and stir it in there. It was not even a blender. And then the flaxseed and the chia, they encouraged us to put it on whether we had, I'm just going to do rice and beans or oatmeal or whatever grain we had. They just suggested that we put it on there and mix it in there because the flaxseed does not really dissolve. So you don't want anything grainy in your mouth, but you could put it in, I put it in my oatmeal. We had some type of a farro type grain one day. I put it on top of that. So ginger and turmeric, they kind of encourage us to put it in the milk, but you can put it in water. But again, the chia, and like I'm not a chia person because I've had chia before, but let me tell you what I had to condition my mind that these are good for my body to keep inflammation out. So when you say 1 + 1 = 2, inflammation equals disease. You follow me? So I had to be clear that no matter how it tastes, no matter what, I want to make sure I get this inflammation out of my body. So I think we have to begin to reason. And the Bible says, let us come now, let us reason together. Sometimes we reason ourselves out of eating healthy. We reason ourselves out of getting sleep. We reason ourselves out of drinking water. The first night I drank water, I was up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. But I had to remind myself, your kidneys are functioning. Your kidneys were starving for this water. Now they don't even know how to deal with the water because you have not been giving them enough water. But I would encourage you to get your cute little favorite bottle or whatever you want, but make sure you carry your water with you. Don't rely on someone else to have it for you because they may not. And so back to your question, Ms. Phyllis, and thank you for being on here. I really appreciate you being here. The turmeric and the ginger, get the finely, grain, you don't want anything that's going to be lumpy bumpy, but something you can stir easily in a small cup. Is not, I think that might have been 3 ounces, maybe, if that. It was a small cup, but it's a matter of getting it in. So when he did it wasn't even a tablespoon, it was maybe a half of a teaspoon, half of a teaspoon. It was a small amount, but it was for all 3 meals he had it. So that means you're getting it in small doses. So remember, you got to be temperate. Too much of a good thing can be bad. And if you have any health conditions, you may want to check with your doctor, particularly for turmeric and ginger. Those are things that you want to be careful and ask before. If you're taking medicines and different things like that, you want to ask ahead of time. But that's a great question because you want to make it easy. And everything they showed us was easy. I'm telling you, very easy. And that's why we were able to adopt those habits. Very good. Any other questions? Any other
So
comments? Thank
you were
you,
saying
Amanda.
the ginger you're saying was in a powder form.
It was more
So this
powder.
was
No, fresh. No, I got fresh. I got fresh ginger, fresh ginger. I
Yeah,
don't
so
do too much powders and stuff. I try to stay natural.
theirs was probably natural, but however
Mhm.
they got it in that powder form, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure they didn't have a packaged item, is my guess, because most of their things were fresh. So my guess is someone, however they got it on that table, it was probably fresh, my guess. Yes.
Well, I've been trying to condition my mind the last 5 years with that, and I'm failing miserably with it. I just don't. It's something I don't care for.
So
I don't
Amanda,
know, and I don't do milk.
let me ask
I
you
don't
this,
drink
Phyllis.
almond milk.
When you go to that juice bar,
Cashew milk.
do they have ginger and turmeric at the juice bar that you go
Yes,
to?
that's
Okay.
why I go there. So
Okay.
I try to go there, but I think that I should do it more often than going there once a week,
Mhm.
So anyway, just I'm just trying to get some
clarity
different
about.
ideas, because I know I ain't
Mhm.
gonna put it in no juice. I know I ain't gonna, so I'm trying to think of something that else that
Yeah,
I do that I would, incorporate it.
right.
Because to
Well,
be honest with you, if I had my way, I would drink, more than I eat,
okay.
but there's not, I'm limited. I have to keep it limited to water, not juices and milk and all that stuff. So because of my diabetes and so
Mhm.
I have to make adjustments because of my diabetes, which is why I hate it, because, like I can't go barefoot anymore, so
You're right.
I've always liked being barefoot.
Right,
So I
that's
can't
so
go
very
barefoot,
important.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
diabetics have to be careful.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
would
I'd love
encourage
to
them to do
be
that.
I love to go and walk on the beach, but
Yes.
you
You
know,
should-
barefoot, that's something I've always enjoyed, but I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, you have to be
Certain
extra.
adjustments, have to be made. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, okay. I'm gonna try putting it in small. I guess I'll start back buying some almond milk or something and
Try
see if
it
I
too.
can get it down. I eat almond milk, but of all of them, that's the one I can most tolerate. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll try that and maybe I might like it if I put the ginger and the turmeric
Yeah.
in there.
Don't put too much ginger because it can bite,
Mhm.
but
Now,
a pinch of that
yeah,
ginger. Let me tell you,
I know.
the first
I
time
know
I got
you
generous. But I would say, go
no,
ahead,
you
Phil.
can't put a
Emily,
lot of ginger. I did learn that. Just a
Yes,
little
Emily,
ginger goes a long way.
yes, yes,
Emily,
Okay. All
sorry.
right.
yes.
Thanks.
You're welcome, Phyllis. Thank you for being
Excuse
on.
me.
Yes,
They
go ahead.
have the ginger and turmeric tea.
Okay.
We have some here that we use. It's a
But
tea
the
bag,
ginger tea,
ginger and turmeric
Mm.
together.
yeah, I bought some. And I'm gonna tell you, I couldn't stand that darn tea.
Oh,
I can't stand it. Now I'm beginning to be able to do just the ginger tea, but I don't want the ginger turmeric I got. I said I just gave some away to some people because I told them I ain't doing that. I
Wow.
know there's certain things that
and for those persons
I'm a pretty
who,
open-minded person to try things. I would try new things, but if it if I try to, like, all my life I've never liked raw tomatoes. All my life I've tried to eat them, to try to make myself at different times in my life to try to no, just can't do it. So, I stick to cucumbers, you
That's
know.
good, yeah.
So anyway, I'm just working through it. I'm trying to find different ways. Okay.
And
for
All right,
those
thanks.
persons those persons who are on anticoagulant medication, they have to be careful with the ginger and turmeric because they're both
Right.
blood thinners.
That's correct.
So
I know somebody who swears that they got rid of their diabetes with ginger and turmeric.
Mm.
They drink it every night before bed.
Mm.
A glass of it. They cook it, in water with cinnamon stick. They
Okay.
grind their own cinnamon stick, and they swear that their diabetes, left them, and they were in real bad shape at one time. They thought they were gonna die,
Wow.
you don't have
and
to do that. You
so
don't
he
have to do
does.
that.
Since he started doing that, he at night. But I can't go by that because see, since that time, they also made him lose a lot of weight. Now he picking that weight. He got his weight back.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So, I don't know, and maybe for a time, but he think it's the ginger and turmeric, but maybe it was the weight loss.
Mm.
You see what I mean? So I don't know. All I know is
Yeah, it could have
I
been all the
think the ginger
combination.
and turmeric is very good, like you say, for inflammation. I think
Mhm.
that's definitely true. And I think a lot of our health issues is about inflammation.
It is. It is.
Definitely.
So,
The root cause. The
Mm-hmm.
root
yeah,
cause of
It is the root
chronic
cause.
disease is inflammation. And
yes, I
cinnamon
think
is very good for diabetes. So
It
with the
is. It
right.
combination
is.
of the ginger
That's
and
correct.
everything and losing the weight, maybe he was able to
Right.
control his diabetes.
hmm
Anytime
hmm
we do any type of health remodification, there's always a positive result.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Just
And like
ju-
they said, this doesn't,
Mhm.
it doesn't cure diabetes. You're just managing it. It's not,
Right.
that's not the cure, that's not the answer to it, but it's helping you manage to give you the time to find out what this is what they're saying now, to find out what it is that's in your metabolism that's causing your pancreas not to work. And sometimes they've discovered that it may be, you know, in the adrenal glands or your thyroid or your you know, in menopause, your hormones. So they're looking at a lot of different things now that they know they were not looking at, and I didn't
Mhm.
understand why they didn't have no cure. But anyway, and then now they're calling Alzheimer's and
Diabetes.
dementia. They're going to
That
look at it as
third,
type
yeah,
3
that
because it
type
has
3
something to do with
diabetes.
insulin, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, they're learning more and more and more. And I've done a lot of reading. You know, I've done a lot of reading, and then, you know, things here that I've learned, you know, when we do the calls. That's why because I want to have, you know, sometimes things are emphasized when you hear it again and
Mhm.
give you clues so you can connect the dots, you know? Yeah. Mhm.
One thing I
Yeah.
would like to
Okay.
say is
So-
that can I say something really quickly about that? So one thing they said at
Sure.
the Lifestyle Center is many times when people get diabetes, that's why it's important to eat on a schedule and not eat in between meals,
Right.
because the pancreas is constantly dumping
Mhm.
insulin, trying to, you know, but everything we're eating in between meals, the body, that, you know, it regulates the
Okay, but they
pancreas.
tell us, uh, but this is what they was telling us. They was telling us to eat 3 meals and 2 snacks.
Yeah,
They
well,
I
want you to,
know.
they was telling
That
us
is,
to eat,
yeah, that is
and
what they tell
you understand,
diabetics.
that's what they
right?
do.
They tell you every 3 to 4 hours you're supposed to
Yeah.
be eating.
But
And they really stress, and see, that was the hardest goddamn part for me, is to get, you know, all of these meals, to eat all of these meals. That was the hardest
yeah,
challenge. But
because
I can tell you it don't work, because I'm gonna tell
it doesn't.
y'all a story.
It's
I'm gonna
not,
tell you a
it's not,
story.
not even
My
an-
cousin Leroy lived to be over 100 years old. And I watched him when he was in his 90s, going up to 100, who looked like he was 60 years old, who was fit to the T, I'm telling you. But he did this. And I'm going to tell you, it was the thing that made me start thinking. He would eat breakfast the same time every day. 8 o'clock, he's eating breakfast. He had lunch at 12 o'clock.
Mhm.
He had supper at 6 p.m. I mean, every day on time. In between lunch and supper, he would eat a snack, like a grapefruit, an apple, or something like that. But he did the same regimen. And when he got over 100, when his daughter had to take care of him, she said, you know, he worked me to the T. I had to do everything exactly at the same time. He never had a weight problem. He never had no health issues. He never had blood pressure problems. I mean, he did it like clockwork. And
Wow.
that is what I said. That is the difference. That scheduling and doing, because your body is a machine
Mhm.
and it is looking for stuff. And I think that's a part of the key. When I said, I figured out that it was the metabolism.
And you know,
So
they
you're,
encourage
I
actually
think we're
go
on,
ahead, Phyllis.
and it has nothing to do with, see, what's happening was those things they was telling us to do, that ain't doing nothing but increasing your chance of gaining weight,
For sure.
coupled with the medicine.
Mhm.
Okay. Because I kept looking around, you know, I'm a very observant person. I think in detail. That's the engineer in me. I listen very closely to all instruction. And some things just did not add up. Some things make sense. Okay. And I think a part of it is scheduling. And like you said, having a routine, getting everything in. It's about a balanced life.
Correct.
Mhm. Mhm.
We got to
One
get it. be more balanced.
Thank you so much, Phyllis. One thing I like to say is that if you have hypertension, one of the two teas that they recommend, highly recommend, is hibiscus and passion fruit. So their teas are all loose. They're not in a bag. They're loose teas, and you put them in a strainer, you know, because they want to make sure that you have the high quality tea.
Child.
So if you have any problems with your blood pressure, or you put that, you use that passion fruit or hibiscus.
It's funny that you say
along with
that.
your walking in the grass.
My loose tea. I got
So
my lotion. I got my teas. I go, you know where I go? Over there of Orange Avenue and Holden, to that place there to get the loose teas.
Oh, I don't know where
Do you know about that place?
Mm-mm.
Holden and Orange Avenues, on Orange Avenue, right there at that corner. It used to be a cleaners there.
Don't know where that
But
is.
anyhow, you'll see it's a natural herb, and get your tea there, fresh tea. And you can, you know, I got my thing, and I started doing a tea regimen, but I got the wrong one. See, now I know.
Hibiscus.
Go with the passion and the hibiscus.
Passion and the hibiscus. Those are the ones, and just get high quality.
And I was gonna go over there today, but they're cold now.
All right. Well, I know we've kept y'all longer, but this has been very good discussion. Any other comments? I know, Josephine, you had a few things you wanted to add.
Yes, I was just saying that it is said that diabetes is just a symptom of some underlying issue. So the doctors, they have to do comprehensive testing, not just a one-page thing, but a couple pages well, to find out whether it's mold or toxins or something else underneath there that's causing the diabetes. So it's only a symptom of something else happening.
That's correct. That is correct. And see, that's not what they were geared toward, you know. And the doc, when you would ask questions, see, they were just pushing medicine, pushing pills, but no answers in the traditional medicine, you know. And so anyway, you have to take charge and say, this right here, something right here.
Yeah. So I like what you just said.
So that started my search.
I like what you said, Phyllis, and we're going to wrap up with that. Let's take charge of our health today, right? Okay. So the things that we learn and that I learned, you know, we can't put off for tomorrow what we should be doing today, because sometimes people end up losing their lives tomorrow because for whatever reason, their lifestyle habits are not contributing to a healthier, happier, holier life. And so what we want to do is make sure that we take charge of our health today. If we need to eat more fruits and vegetables, let's start doing it. In fact, we're eating so many fruits and vegetables now. I thought I was eating plenty then, but we're being more intentional with that. And it's making a huge, huge difference in how even my energy level. Sometimes we're eating heavy foods, or they're nutrient, but you want to eat nutrient dense foods that have the nutrients that your body needs to function well. If you're not exercising enough, start moving, gardening, walking, swimming, whatever that is, just begin to move. And make sure you drink that water. So when we put it in the context of our spiritual life, when we think about nutrition, we want to make sure we're reading the word of God, right? We want to make sure that we're exercising our faith. We want to make sure that as it relates to water, Jesus says, I am the living water. If you drink of me, you'll never thirst again. We need to stop looking at the things around in this world that are going to bring us satisfaction. It will never, ever, ever bring it, but the water of life, who is in Jesus Christ alone, can bring us that. As it relates to the sunshine, all of us should be light bearers, right? Our life should be a light to the world. They should see a difference. They should see a difference in our energy, in our enthusiasm, in our health, in our well-being. Because you know, as soon as one of us gets sick, the first thing they say, what's wrong with her? What is she sick of? If someone dies, what did they die of? So as Christians and believers, we want to make sure that we're the sunshine, the light of righteousness. We want to make sure that we're showing our light by the life that we live. We want to be temperate in all things. We want to make sure that we're air. I said, everything that have breath, we should be praising the Lord. We should be thanking him that he gave us another day of life, health, and strength to live for him. And when it talks about rest, it is very clear in the Bible. Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. It's very clear in the Bible about Sabbath rest. It's very clear in the Bible about even just going to bed. It says going to bed early, staying up late, rising early. It talks about it in the Bible. All of these health principles that I've talked about relate to our spirituality. Whenever we don't do them, it affects us spiritually and mentally and physically. And when we talk about trusting God, do not let this devil steal your joy. Let the joy of the Lord be your strength each and every day. And I will close with this one. Choose you this day whom ye will serve. As for me and my house, I will serve the Lord. And when we say choose, that means that we make a choice of even what we eat, drink, and do, because we want to do all to the glory of God. Thank you all so much for being on the platform today. It is my hope and my prayer that you will set goals, that you will set a schedule, and that you will live that more abundant life that Jesus talks about in John 10:10. Be blessed.
I had one quick question, if I may ask. Is
Yes.
hibiscus the same as sorrel, or is there a difference?
I didn't hear your question for some reason.
Is
No.
hibiscus the same as sorrel?
No. Mm-mm.
I think I've talked to people like from Jamaica. I think they call what we call in Trinidad sorrel, they call it hibiscus. So
Oh,
hibiscus, hibiscus, different islands have different names for different things. Something that is similar. So hibiscus is that flower. Is a
right.
flower that has in the center, it has a little stem that hangs out. That is the hibiscus. A sorrel is more like a rose bud type of
Right.
flower. That's sorrel. So they are both good for blood pressure because of the dark red content that they have is good for blood pressure. But I know they have done research on hibiscus. They are clinical research done on hibiscus, and that have proven to help with blood pressure. So when they talk about hibiscus, it's about the hibiscus flowers.
What you describe, Miss Emlyn, is what we call hibiscus in Jamaica.
I know, yes.
Just described is the one we call hibiscus.
Yeah.
The sorrel is the red rosy one, is what we Jamaicans call sorrel. But I wanted to know when you're talking about sorrel, about hibiscus for the blood pressure, to be sure which one it is that I'm gonna
Yes.
get when I go to the store. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Right. It's the one
Great
with the
question,
flower.
Charlotte. Charlotte, good question.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you all again for joining Living Well. It's my hope, my prayer that you've heard something today that can help you on your journey of health and wellness. Again, we don't normally pause, and we will